The 2010s were officially the decade where rock supposedly died, with hardly any heavy songs appearing in the charts. Although despite lack of attention in the mainstream, rock pressed on in the underground, especially in Australia. Hey everyone, I'm Liam from Solitude, and in this video I'll be taking you through the top 30 Australian rock bands of the 2010s. In order to qualify for this list, the band must have originated in Australia, released music predominantly from 2010 to 2019, and play rock music. My definition of rock music is anything that relies on the use of organic instruments such as guitars, drums, and piano. It must also have an emphasis on distortion or overdriven guitars and/or energy throughout the music. Let's crack into the list. Number 30, Rolling Blackouts Coastal Fever. This Melbourne-based Australiana indie rock band were first put into the spotlight when they signed to independent Australian label Ivy League. Later they signed to legendary American label Sub Pop, who helped them release their debut album, which was well received internationally. Number 29, Bad Dreams. Adopting influence from 80s Australian pub rock, Bad Dreams found success in the 2010s with their relatable suburban life songs. The Adelaide band released 3 albums during the decade, with Cuffed and Collared being their most notable song. Number 28, Tired Lion. Originally from Perth, this female-fronted grunge rock band broke through in 2015 when they took out the Triple J Unearthed Artist of the Year award. They collaborated with Violent Soho's Luke Borden in 2017 to create their debut album Dumb Days. The album was well received and later birthed a romantic relationship between the lead singer Sophie and Borden himself. Number 27, Ceres. Releasing 3 albums through the decade, this emo outfit from Melbourne captured the hearts of many with their sad white boy sound. Their third album, We Are a Team, was the most well received, with Viv in the front seat bringing the feels as its debut single. Number 26, Kingswood. Blues rockers Kingswood found many followers in the 2010s with their soulful style and sound. They released 2 albums during the decade, which peaked at number 6 and 10 in the ARIA charts. Their song Golden also reached gold status, and many of their tracks made Triple J Hottest 100s of their released years. Number 25, Polish Club. This Sydney two-piece, inspired by a band like the White Stripes, released 2 successful albums during the 2010s. Their debut album, All Right Already, was nominated for an ARIA for Best Rock Album. They also supported Royal Blood on their Australian Stadium tour. Number 24, Middle Kids. Another Sydney band, Middle Kids, led by Hannah Joy on lead vocals, burst onto the scene when their debut song, Edge of Town, was released. It gained heavy rotation on Triple J. The song also got attention overseas, and the band played live late-night TV in America. The song has since gone gold in Australia, and their debut album hit number 10 on the ARIA charts in 2018. Number 23, Slowly Slowly. Forming in Melbourne, this emo punk band hit big when they signed to rock label UNFD. They released 3 albums in the decade. Their third, Race Car Blues, reached number 7 on the charts. Their song Jellyfish was popular too, hitting number 57 in the 2019 Hottest 100. Number 22, Stand Atlantic. Now a prominent pop-punk band overseas, Stand Atlantic have placed themselves firmly in the scene, locally and overseas. After they signed to massive punk label Hopeless Records, they have toured with the likes of Newfound Glory, State Champs, and Neck Deep. They released multiple EPs and an album in the decade and continue to grow. Number 21, WAAX. Another successful female-fronted band, this time from Brisbane, WAAX gained wide respect during the decade with their raucous alternative rock sound. Their debut album, Big Grief, hit number 11 when they released it in 2019. One of their singles, Labrador, was their most well-received song, reaching number 88 in the Triple J Hottest 100 of that year. Number 20, Luca Brasi. Now one of Tasmania's most successful exports, this emo band had a very busy decade, releasing 4 albums. Their tracks Anything Near Conviction and Clothes I've Slept In are their most successful, with their Triple J Like a Version cover of How to Make Gravy also making waves. Number 19, The Preatures. This Sydney band burst onto the scene in 2013 when their song Is This How You Feel hit number 9 in the Triple J Hottest 100, and 46 on the ARIA charts when they won the Vanda and Young songwriting competition. Their debut album, Blue Planet Eyes, hit number 4 on the ARIA charts. They released another album in the decade, and they supported Pink, Foo Fighters, and the Rolling Stones live. Number 18, British India. Having a busy end to the 2000s, British India continued to reach their peak in the 2010s. They released 4 albums during the decade, with multiple appearances in Triple J's Hottest 100. I Can Make You Love Me was their most successful song, reaching number 70 on the ARIA charts and gold status. Number 17, Trophy Eyes. Hailing from Newcastle, Trophy Eyes developed from hardcore punk to alternative rock over the decade. They also signed to Hopeless Records and toured with many successful punk bands from around the world. With 3 albums under their belt, their sound may continue to develop to find more fans. Number 16, Tonight Alive. One of the few bands in this list to find a lot of success without Triple J attention. Tonight Alive hit the Amazing Spider-Man 2 soundtrack, which led them to chart in Australia and overseas. They have since signed to Oz rock label UNFD and have continued to lead the way in the pop-punk scene. Number 15, Camp Cope. Australiana emo punks, Camp Cope, made waves through the decade with 2 albums after signing to Poison City in Australia and Run for Cover in the US. The all-girl Melbourne 3-piece were also vocal for women in music and paved the way for more female-fronted bands to be given time in the spotlight. Number 14, DZ Deathrays. Initially a no-bass 2-piece, this Brisbane dance punk duo had an impressive decade in Australia, releasing 4 albums. Their unique sound has netted them 2 ARIA awards for Best Hard Rock / Heavy Metal Album. DZ have a very strong dedicated fan base, derived from festivals, raucous live shows, and a strong merch game. Number 13, Dune Rats. Another Brisbane rock band to find success in the 2010s, Dune Rats released 2 albums in the decade. Their second album went to number 1 on the ARIA charts, and many of their singles have appeared in Triple J's Hottest 100s. They also paved the way for many more stoner / garage / surf rock bands to find success in the latter part of the decade. Number 12, Hockey Dad. A surf rock 2-piece from country New South Wales, Hockey Dad made waves through the decade with 2 albums and a pretty popular EP. They shot onto the scene when they were nominated for Triple J's Unearthed High. They have had many songs appear in the Hottest 100, with Join the Club being their highest placed at number 18. Number 11, Ocean Alley. Meshing rock, psych, and reggae, this Northern Beaches band found plenty of success in the decade. Their song Confidence won the Triple J Hottest 100 of 2018, and also reached number 9 on the ARIA charts. They released 2 albums in the decade, and picked up on the reggae rock momentum that continues to grow in Australia. Number 10, Skeggs. From Byron Bay, Skeggs developed a huge following in Australia throughout the decade. They released 5 EPs and a debut album in the 2010s, which gave them a steady growth of fans. Their surf rock sound has become very popular, mostly thanks to their likability and relatability. One of their songs was recently used for a TikTok advertisement campaign. Number 9, the Smith Street Band. Trailblazers of the Australiana emo punk sound, the Smithies have developed a huge cult following in Australia and overseas. Their unique sound resonated with many over the decade, as they released 4 studio albums in the 2010s. Their live shows, merch game, and relatable lyrics have cemented them as one of Australia's favourite current rock bands. Number 8, DMAs. Bringing back a Britpop sound that many thought was gone, DMAs reinvigorated the genre ironically as an Australian group. They have developed a strong following in Australia and in the UK. Their debut single Delete peaked at number 88 on the ARIA charts, and their cover of Cher's classic Believe hit ARIA Platinum and number 6 on Triple J's Hottest 100 of 2016. Number 7, Birds of Tokyo. This Perth band, who started out in the 2000s, took the next step in the 2010s. They released 3 of their albums in the decade, which most notably contained their 2 biggest hits, Plans and Lanterns. They also won 2 ARIA awards in the decade and progressed to more of a pop sound. I still count them as a rock band though. Number 6, Ballpark Music. Hailing from Brisbane, BPM had a huge decade, releasing 5 studio albums. Their indie art rock sound resonated with many, especially with Triple J fans. Many of their songs appeared in the Hottest 100s. Their song It's Nice to Be Alive was used in Hollywood when it appeared in the movie Blended and in an episode of Gossip Girl. Number 5, Sticky Fingers. This controversial Sydney band were the trailblazers for reggae rock sound in Australia, which has become so popular. They released 4 albums in the decade, and 3 of their songs appeared in Triple J's Hottest 100 of the decade. They were controversially blacklisted from the station though in the middle of the decade after their allegations of racial abuse and a pretty hollow apology stating that boys will be boys. Number 4, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. Certainly the most prolific Australian band of the decade, releasing 15 albums, this band hails from Melbourne with a plethora of band members. Their psych rock sound resonated in Australia and overseas. Their presence as one of the world's most notable rock bands continues to grow. Number 3, Gang of Youths. Forming in church groups in Sydney, Gang of Youths have become one of Australia's most loved bands. They released 2 great stadium rock albums in the decade, the second of which peaked at number 1. Many of their songs have appeared high in Hottest 100 positions. They played the entertainment for the 2018 NRL Grand Final, and they toured with the likes of the Foo Fighters and Mumford & Sons. Number 2, Violent Soho. Undoubtedly the rock band with the biggest underground following in Australia, Violent Soho released 3 very successful albums during the decade, placed in many Hottest 100s, and built a merchandise empire the likes of Billabong would envy. Their crowning event would have been coming in at number 4 in the Hottest 100 of the decade, with their song Covered in Chrome. Number 1, Tame Impala. A pretty obvious number 1. Tame Impala released 3 huge albums in the decade. They won multiple ARIA awards, they hit number 1 in the Hottest 100 of the decade, went viral on TikTok, and headlined Coachella. Pretty good for a psych rock band from Fremantle. They tend to play a little bit more poppier now, but I definitely still count them as a rock band at heart. Well, that's the list. What do you reckon? Did I miss any? Please feel free to comment down below if you think so. Have a look in the video description and you'll find a link to a Spotify playlist with songs from the bands in this list. If you like this video and you want to see more content about Australian and West Australian music, please subscribe to this channel and I'll put some more videos up for you.